Yo, it's your boy AJ. I'm here with Rage. Some breaking news. New assistant coach got hired, and we're also going to talk about the draft lottery. The draft lottery happened today. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. You're now tuning in to Nets Kingdom.
Nets Kingdom.
To the top, I'ma make it. Niggas just can't take it. To the top, I'ma make 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 it. Niggas just can't take
Yeah. So, Nets world, man. We got the breaking news a couple of days ago. Jay Hernandez, the Nets.
Nice.
After doing the video on Borrego and Vogel, it looks like the Nets have chosen one of their assistants. Now we have 3 more assistant coaching spots open. But what was your reaction to? Well, let me do Jay Hernandez, his coaching resume before you give your reaction. So his coaching experience, it was 2018 to today. He was the assistant coach under James Borrego and Steve Clifford on the Hornets. And then 2016 to 2018, he was the assistant coach of Frank Vogel on the Orlando Magic. And then 2014 to 2016, he was the player development coach under Vaughn Borrego and Scott Skiles. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. So, what was your instant reaction to?
No disrespect. My instant reaction was who was
Yeah.
that? But you know what? He has ties to Jacques Vaughn. He's coached before Steve Nash. He's coached before.
Yeah.
He has links to another guy I want is James Borrego.
Yeah.
We already talked about him. And I think, like we said, James Borrego is a candidate that we can get. Like we have 3 spots left. Like I said, you know what? It's an assistant coach, and at least he has coaching experience. Like that's something that's something to talk about. I mean, that's not something we had with our previous head coach.
Yeah.
Head coach, by the way, head coach.
Yeah.
Not assistant.
Yeah, because what I saw from him is like the videos of Jay Hernandez. It was like he's pretty decent at player development. He's one of those guys that he chops up the clips. He'll be on the sideline like, listen, you're doing this and this and this wrong. Do more of this. Cut to the rim. This like he does his thing with his player development. And I saw a little clip of him. He worked with Tobias Harris. He was like one of the guys key to Tobias Harris's. Remember that stint where Tobias Harris had when he was kind of going off? But I think it was before the Philly. It might have been when he was on the Clippers. Was he on the Clippers? But there's a stint where Tobias Harris was not that good, and then he kind of just went up and he to the next level. And I think Jay Hernandez was part of that, if I'm not mistaken. But he's part of the Nets. He's part of the Nets world now. We'll see what he can do with the player development. I wonder what Vaughn's going to have him as. Hopefully, if it's lead assistant, I hope it's not lead assistant, but I hope it's definitely in the player development thing, because I want the lead assistant to be Borrego or Vogel, one of those guys, because there's too many coaches on this market right now. Too many quality coaches on this market right now for us to have a mid assistant coaching staff. It's impossible. Is Sean Marks going to do that? He can't do that. He can't do that, right, bro?
We have those. You look at, like I said, look how many assistant coaches, or look how many coaches there are available.
Yeah,
they obviously all can't get hired for head coaching jobs.
Yeah,
you have
and a couple more spots open. I mean, the Suns' job is open, Milwaukee's open, Toronto's open, and then
Detroit.
So
and Philly.
Philly. So that's what, 4 or 5. And then you got 9 coaches on the market. So it's like somebody gotta get left over. So we'll see what the Nets do going forward. But next topic, the draft lottery, man. So we got the draft lottery, and this was a big one on Nets Twitter because we know about the Damian Lillard talk. So what were you, bro? What were you seeing on this? Because I saw a whole bunch of stuff like, if we could trade Mikal Bridges for Scoot.
Shaedon Sharpe picks.
Yeah. So what was your kind of reaction to Nets Nation putting Mikal Bridges on the table? I mean,
it really just depends on the route you really, 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 really want to go to.
Yeah.
It's just and I don't know. It's just like my problem is like also is like you like our player development is so interesting
Yeah.
and very lackluster that it's like, are you sure you want to just tank again and or not tank, but are you sure you really just want to blow it all up completely? You're gonna blow it up for a second time in less than a year,
Yeah.
blow it up again. But it's just it would be interesting. But personally, I think that's something like if it's it's I feel like it's something I would do. Like if I feel like that's a lot for Mikal Bridges. Obviously, he's been playing very, very, very well.
So
He's
wait,
been
bro. This would assume that the Nets are in rebuilding mode. If we trade away, let's say,
this is if you're in rebuilding mode,
yeah,
and this is if Scoot Henderson gets drafted to Portland,
yeah,
and they
obviously,
want
okay,
and they don't they want to keep Damian Lillard.
yeah. So if that's if, because in my point of view,
This is all hypothetical. Like,
yeah, this is all hypothetical Nets station. But again, we're just commenting on what Nets Twitter is going off of. If I'm Portland and I'm drafting Scoot Henderson, I want to give up Dame. I want to trade Dame for more picks, and I want to go into my full rebuild. So I don't understand Nets Twitter putting Mikal Bridges on the market for the Trailblazers, because I know Mikal Bridges is what, 28,
and
27.
that's still and you got to think about it. Like we've been talking about how Damian Lillard doesn't move the needle for us.
Yeah,
Damian Lillard, Mikal Bridges going to the Trailblazers,
yeah,
that team is still worse than what we would be.
yeah. I don't think they do that much noise in the West with that team if they get Mikal Bridges and a bunch of picks, right? Was that what was that the deal they were putting up? Mikal Bridges picks?
If they get Mikal Bridges and a bunch of picks, because like
Yeah, and Royce or
you
somebody like that.
lose all of those picks, right?
Yeah,
And it's like all you still have, obviously you still have Jeremy Grant, maybe.
yeah,
You still and Nurkic, but like how is he like always healthy?
yeah.
And even that, it's
It's a
still
decent
iffy.
team,
Like
but it's like I I just think Portland's at that point where they're like, we're just gonna go into the rebuild mode, because it just makes more sense to me to keep Scoot, Shaden Sharp, and we talked about this in our other YouTube channel. Keep Scoot, Shaden Sharp, Anthony Simmons, get your picks for Dame, and go full into the rebuild, and then build from there. You have your young core for years. That's a young core you can have for years, and then you just keep adding on to it with your picks, your first round picks, and maybe you get into the lottery again and get another guy. So it's like, I think that's the route Portland's going to go into, rather than, okay, we're going to get Scoot or Brandon Miller, one of the two, and then we're going to try to retool this with Dame. I'm like, it doesn't. I don't know, bro.
If you want to draft Scoot, fine, but I wouldn't trade him. I'd keep him.
Yeah.
Especially since Damian Lillard has already said, I don't want to be in a rebuild situation anymore. And obviously, if you traded for Mikal, obviously you're not going to be in a rebuild situation. Yeah. But how far are you going to, like, obviously you have Dame, you have Anthony, you have
Shaden,
Mikal, you have Grant, and you have Nurkic, and you have Shaden Sharp.
Yeah.
Interesting. That team is solid, but I don't think that's a championship caliber team.
Yeah. It's just interesting how, like, as I said, first of all, when we rebuild, we can't really go into a full rebuild because we don't have our picks. So if, let's say, we go with Nets Twitter is saying we trade Mikal, right, and we get Scoot, well, I don't know if they're going to want to give up Shaden Sharp with that pick, but you would have to give us something besides Scoot, Shaden Sharp or Anthony Simmons, one of the two. You have to decide, are you going to want to flip Simmons for picks because we don't have our own picks? Or are you going to keep Anthony Simmons, Scoot, and a pick, and then stay with that team with CJ and Clax and see what it takes you? Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know, bro. Twitter is just hilarious with these takes. But my point of view, I just don't think the Nets are going to trade Mikal, or I think they're just going to wait.
I think, and it's just interesting too, because like if you say you still trade for Dame, like I personally don't like. It's so interesting how like I don't like. How do I say this? So it would be interesting to see like the Nets try and draft a bunch of 20 like the late first round picks, and keeping Mikal Bridges, when we literally have Cam Thomas sitting there, and we're not trying to develop him. We haven't played Day'Ron Sharp a whole ton. and we're not really developing anyone. Like, how do you
Yeah.
expect that to work? We still have to figure out how these late first rounders are going to play.
Yeah.
How,
Yeah.
how are they even supposed to get in? So it makes more sense. I think, like, just based on how our development team is, you go one or two ways. Either you complete, or you either trade for a star, whether that's now or in the future,
Mhm.
or you do that Scoot thing.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like
You
I
rebuild with
I
that. Yeah.
realistically, I want to build off of what we have and develop new young guys, but we're not good at that. We're not good at developing young talent.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would I want to do that with Mikal Bridges, who's obviously been playing good, but he can't really get any better, and he's still like what, 27? Like, he's in
Yeah.
his prime. Like, how
Yeah.
many years are you really gonna have Mikal, and how long are you really gonna have him until he gets to the point where he's like, I'm not doing this anymore?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Mikal, like I said, I think Mikal's too locked in. The city kind of like, well, Brooklyn is kind of like honed around him, centered around him. You gave him Brooklyn Bridges. Like, I think he's the Nets love him too much, in my opinion, to like not trade him immediately for picks. I don't think that's how Sean Marks and Josiah operate. Like, just gonna give him away for picks and rebuild like that real quick. I don't know if they're gonna do that. I think they're more in the waiting kind of game. And if Dame is available, I think they'll answer the call. I think they'll like consider it. I don't know if they'll make the move, but if Dame is available, and let's say the Portland gets Scoot, and they're like, "Okay, Dame, you can go, or we'll go to wherever you want to go."
Yeah.
I think the Nets would listen. I think the Nets would listen. But
Yeah, it's just like, and I think ultimately what we're going to do is just build off of what we have and still like have Mikal. But
Mhm.
the reason like why I'm like not necessarily against it, but like I'm not too fond of it, is for the fact that we, like I said, we don't really develop young talent well.
Mhm.
So it's like, how much like how much are you really getting, like how good are you really getting, like how much better are you really getting with these young 20, with these late 20 overall picks and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
obviously they have potential, but so does, Cam Thomas and Day'Ron Sharp, but we're not using him.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know in the comments, y'all. Let us know in the comments. Does this Portland getting the number 3 pick, does that change anything for the Brooklyn Nets in y'all opinions? Does that move you guys? Do you guys want to rebuild? Do you guys want to trade for a star? Do you want to trade for Scoot? Do you want to get Scoot? Or you want to get Brandon Miller, one of those guys, or in rebuild? Or you guys want to trade for a star? Or you want to keep our core and just try to make minimal marginal moves? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. Follow us on Instagram, Nets Kingdom 1. All our Twitters are scrolling at the bottom. Follow us on Twitter. Also, check out our new articles on Leonard Miller. We just dropped a video on Leonard Miller, netskingdom.net. Appreciate you guys and tune into our website. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back. It's going to be a long off season, man. Shout out to all the draftees and all the young players, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Hit that like button. Damn.